The story begins with a serene, picturesque lake. A group of tourists is out on a boat ride, soaking in the beauty of the surroundings. Among them is a boy trying to impress his new friend. "Hey," he says with a hint of excitement. "I found this old map of the lake at the library. It shows that there used to be a village right here, under the water." Intrigued but skeptical, his friend raises an eyebrow. "Seriously, before this lake even existed, people lived here. Houses, belongings, everything is probably still down there, just waiting to be discovered." His friend dismisses the idea with a chuckle, but the boy is determined. "Fine, I'll jump in and check it out myself. You can join me if you want." His friend's curiosity gets the better of him, and he agrees. But just as they're about to dive in, a girl raises her hand and says, "I'm coming too." It's the boy's sister, Finn. Annoyed, the boy groans, "Finn, if you want to come, jump in from the other side. I'm trying to impress my friend here, and you're ruining it." Unfazed, Finn replies, "I couldn't care less about your plans or your attempts to impress. The story you told about the sunken village sounds fascinating, and I want to see it for myself." Reluctantly, her brother agrees, and the two of them dive into the lake together. The water isn't too deep, so they swim further down, hoping to uncover something extraordinary. They search around, coming up for air every now and then, before diving back down to explore more. After a while, they stumble upon a rusty old bicycle. Finn's brother also spots a weathered signboard. Holding it up triumphantly, he beams with excitement. "This proves it," he exclaims. "There really was a village down here." Clutching the board, he swims toward the surface to show his friends. But suddenly, a hand, cold and eerie, grabs his leg and pulls him down with an unnatural force. Finn, horrified, watches the scene unfold and immediately swims to help him. She grabs her brother, trying to pull him free, but the grip on his leg is too strong. Panicking, Finn rushes to the surface, shouting for help from the others on the boat. She dives back down, desperate to save her brother. But when she reaches him again, it's too late. Her brother is lifeless, and Finn is left in shock and disbelief. Just as she starts to process what happened, the same ghostly hand reappears, pulling her brother's body further into the depths of the lake. Finn can only stare in horror, realizing the sunken village hides something far more sinister than anyone could have imagined. The story fast-forwards to 4 months later. Finn has just been brought home from a mental hospital. You see, Finn had claimed to witness a hand dragging her brother into the depths of the lake. But no one believed her, not her mom, not her dad. Everyone thought she was simply in shock, haunted by grief, and that these were just illusions. To help her heal, her parents had sent her to a mental facility for treatment. Now they brought her back home, hoping she can recover in familiar surroundings. Finn's father, a successful lawyer running a prestigious law firm, had always been absorbed in his work. Both parents were devastated by their son's death, but they were trying hard to move past the tragedy. Moving on, however, was easier said than done. For Finn, the grief was unbearable. She sat in her room, staring at photos of her brother. One day, she turned to her mom and asked, "Mom, were you there at my brother's funeral? How was it? Did you bury him?" Her mom hesitated, her voice soft but heavy with sadness. "Sweetheart, your brother's body was never found. So we did the next best thing. We gathered his favorite belongings, a box of his childhood essays, his cards, his shoes, and we held a memorial service." Finn's heart sank further. She whispered, almost pleading, "But Mom, I saw it. I saw a hand drag him down. It wasn't just an accident. Something took him." Her mom put a comforting hand on her shoulder. "Honey, you're exhausted. Get some rest. It'll be okay." But deep down, her mom didn't believe her. That night, while Finn's mom was taking a bath, something horrifying happened. A pale, lifeless hand emerged from the water and grabbed her arm. She gasped in terror, turning around frantically, only to find nothing there. Shaken, she started wondering if Finn's story might be true after all. She turned to the internet, searching for information about the lake. That's when she stumbled upon an unsettling revelation. The lake had a dark history. Many strange and inexplicable deaths had occurred there over the years, and locals believed it to be cursed. Suddenly, a hand touched her shoulder, and she screamed. Turning around, she saw her husband standing there. "What are you doing?" he asked, startled by her reaction. Panicking, she lied. "I was just looking for a job online." Her husband, oblivious to her fear, nodded approvingly. "Good. You should keep busy. Sitting around and thinking about our son will only make things worse. We need to move on for Finn's sake." That night, Finn had a vivid nightmare. She relived the horrifying moment when her brother was pulled into the water. At the same time, her mom heard the sound of running water. She got up, assuming it was just the bathroom faucet. But when she checked, it was off. Puzzled, she went to the kitchen, only to find the sink faucet running. She turned it off, but it immediately turned back on. No matter how many times she closed it, the water kept flowing. Then she heard a faint noise coming from the backyard pool. Following the sound, she found water spilling out of the pool, as if something or someone was inside. A chilling voice echoed, "Mom, help me." Terrified, she turned around and saw her son. But he wasn't the boy she remembered. His body was decayed, his face twisted with agony. "Mom, please, save me," he begged, his voice filled with sorrow and pain. His mother froze, horrified beyond words. Her heart raced as she realized this wasn't just grief or imagination. Something unnatural was happening, something dark. The next morning, a grieving mother confides in her husband about the haunting experience she had. "What's happening to me?" she asks. Her husband dismisses it as a bad dream, reassuring her, "Dreams only happen when you're asleep." But she insists, "I was awake, fully conscious." The conversation shifts to their son's tragedy. She pleads, "We need to find his body. It's the only way to give him peace." The husband, however, is skeptical. He recalls, "The police searched the lake for a week, and we found nothing." "I think you're starting to sound like Finn. He had similar delusions." Finally, he warns her, "Whatever you do, stay away from that lake. I don't have time for this mess," before leaving for work. Finn overhears everything. Hidden nearby, Finn listens to the conversation. Later, he approaches his mother, determined. "Mom, we have to find my brother's body at the lake. I'll come with you and help you." At first, her mother refuses, saying, "You're just recovering. Going back there might make you worse." But Finn persists, "I'm fine now. I see my brother in my dreams every night. Until we find him and give him a proper burial, neither of us will have peace." Eventually, her mother agrees. The journey to the lake. The duo heads to the lake, which once used to be their family retreat. Memories flood the mother's mind as they approach the dock. They get into a small boat and head to the spot Finn remembers. "This is where we jumped in," Finn points out. "We swam a little and went under." Her mother tells him to stay in the boat, saying, "I'll tie a rope around my waist. If I don't surface in time, or if the rope feels stuck, pull me up immediately." Finn nods in agreement. She diving into the water, swimming down into the depths. After a short while, she resurfaces, catching her breath. Determined, she swims to the location her son, Finn, had described. However, after searching for a while, she finds nothing. Confused, she returns to the surface and asks, "Are you sure this is the right spot?" Finn reassures her, "Yes, Mom, but you need to go a bit further. Look for a bicycle, it'll be nearby. Swim past it, and you'll find what we're looking for." With renewed determination, the mother dives again. This time, she spots the bicycle, confirming they're in the right place. She swims further ahead and stumbles upon a chilling discovery, a stone slab underwater, with 3 bodies chained to it. The corpses are in a disturbing state, clearly showing they've been there for many years. In the center, one chain is tied tightly around a body. The mother, horrified but resolute, pulls on the chain and begins to swim upward. Suddenly, she feels something grab her leg. She looks down in terror as a skeletal hand clasps her ankle, dragging her back down. Just like her son Finn, she's now being pulled deeper into the water. Panicked, the mother yanks on the rope connected to her, signaling distress. Finn immediately realizes she's in trouble and starts pulling her back with all his strength. After a desperate struggle, he manages to pull her to safety. But as they emerge from the water, something unexpected happens. A body is dragged up along with them. It's Finn's body, long lost and waterlogged, its features disfigured by years underwater. The mother is overwhelmed, her emotions torn between shock and relief. She cradles her son's lifeless body, devastated by the discovery, yet comforted that she's finally found him. After the tragic discovery of her son's body, Finn's mom calls the police and ambulance. When the police officer arrives, he's visibly shocked and remarks, "We searched for your son for a week, and you managed to find his body in just 1 day." Finn's mom then reveals something strange she witnessed. She explains, "Under the lake, I saw corpses tied to stone blocks. One of the bodies had a chain around it." She hands the chain over to the sheriff. Examining it closely, the sheriff says, "This chain belongs to an old family. Long ago, there was a village where the lake now stands. This might have belonged to someone from that time. The family name on this chain matches an elderly woman who lives nearby. You should talk to her. Maybe she can tell you something useful." He hesitates for a moment before adding, "By the way, some say this lake is cursed, but I'm not sure how much truth there is to that." After hearing this, Finn's mom feels compelled to investigate further. She calls her husband to inform him of her decision. He's upset and yells, "Why did you go to that lake? I told you not to." But when she explains that their son's body has been found, he softens and calms down. Finn, standing by his mother, expresses relief and excitement. "Thank God, Mom. Everything's going to be okay now." But his curiosity gets the better of him, and he asks, "What are we going to do with this chain?" His mom responds firmly, "Finding your brother's body was just the beginning. We need to find out how he died." Determined, the two head off to meet the elderly woman mentioned by the sheriff. Finn's mom wastes no time and asks her directly, "Many people have died in this lake. Can you tell us why this keeps happening?" The old woman, dismissive and cold, replies, "People drown because they're careless. They jump into deep waters without knowing how to swim and end up dying for the sake of some thrill." Finn interrupts, clearly agitated. "That's not true. My brother wasn't careless, and he was an excellent swimmer. I was with him that day. When we were underwater, I saw a hand grab his leg and pull him down. That's what killed him." He continues, his voice trembling with fear and anger. Not just that. I saw 3 other bodies down there, tied to stone blocks. It's like they were drowned on purpose. Finn's mom shows the old woman the chain she took from the corpse. The old woman examines it carefully and says, "This chain belonged to my grandfather." She explains that her family used to live in the village that once stood where the lake now lies. "We were all happy back then," she reminisces. But then a wealthy businessman arrived. He wanted to build a dam, collect water, and create this lake. People said the dam would make him famous and bring him wealth. He didn't care about us. He forced the villagers to leave. She goes on, her voice heavy with emotion. "We had no choice but to abandon everything. Our homes, our lands, even the graves of our ancestors. But my grandfather and a few others stood against him. The ones who resisted were killed." Pausing, she adds, "One day, my grandfather and his 2 companions vanished. Today, after hearing your story, I finally understand what happened to them. They were tied to those stone blocks, drowned, and left beneath the water as the lake filled. They didn't even have a chance to escape." Finn's mom listens intently, shocked by the tale. She asks, "But this happened around 70 years ago. That businessman must have died long ago. Who are you fighting now?" The old woman sighs and says, "Even now, we're fighting in court to get the dam closed. If the dam is removed, the lake will dry up, and the truth about that man's cruelty will surface. Everyone will see that he was a monster who murdered innocent people to build his legacy. But his family is powerful, and they won't let that happen. They use their influence to silence us. A major law firm represents his family. No matter how hard we try, we can't win against them. They make sure the case never goes anywhere." Then, the old woman mentions the name of the law firm. Hearing it, both Finn and his mother freeze in shock. It's the same firm where Finn's dad works. Finn and his mother return to the house near the lake, only to find Finn's dad waiting for them. He looks concerned and asks, "Where were you both? I've been searching everywhere." "You look so worried. What's going on?" Without hesitation, Finn's mom confronts him. "Why is your law firm supporting the dam? Why are you fighting against closing it?" Finn's dad, caught off guard, responds, "I don't know all the details, but the lake is important. We can't let it dry up." Mom, her anger rising, demands, "Important for what? What's so necessary about that lake?" Dad explains, "The lake was created to prevent flooding in the city. When there's heavy rainfall, the excess water flows into the lake, protecting the city. Besides, it's a beautiful spot. People come there to relax and enjoy the view." But Mom isn't convinced. "These are just excuses," she snaps. "You need to withdraw from this case and fight to have the dam removed. If the dam goes, so does the lake. Do you even realize how many lives were destroyed to create it? That rich man buried countless people under that water to build his legacy. I've seen it myself, 3 corpses tied to stone blocks, left to drown as the lake filled. And those are just the ones I saw. Who knows how many more are down there?" Dad dismisses her words. "Those are just rumors people spread about rich men. And let's not forget, without this lake, we wouldn't have what we do today. All our wealth comes from it." Mom is stunned by his response. Slowly, the horrifying truth dawns on her. "Wait," she says. "That rich man, the one who built the dam, he was your grandfather, wasn't he?" Dad's silence says it all. Her voice trembles with emotion as she continues. "Now it all makes sense. Our son didn't die in an accident. His death was the result of revenge. Revenge from the souls trapped in that lake. They've been burning with hatred for decades. They couldn't take their revenge on your grandfather, so they took it on his great-grandson, our son." Tears stream down her face as she sobs. "Because of your family's sins, I've lost my son. Those souls are still trapped in the cursed waters of that lake. And now they're exacting revenge on anyone who comes near, drowning them to punish your family's greed and cruelty." Instead of showing remorse, Finn's dad grows angry, unwilling to accept the blame. Mom, however, is resolute, understanding that the lake and the dam must be destroyed to put the restless souls to peace. As the family grapples with the shocking revelations, a chilling voice echoes from outside. Finn senses something terrible is about to happen. Suddenly, the lights go out, plunging the house into darkness. Finn's dad attempts to call for help, but the phone lines are dead. Looking out toward the lake, they see a terrifying sight. Ghostly figures rising from the water and making their way toward the house. Fear grips everyone. Mom and Finn stand frozen, watching the souls surround their home. Even Finn's dad, who had been in denial, now understands the truth. "Oh my God," he whispers, realizing they were telling the truth. The restless souls remain silent as they close in. They ignore Finn and his mom but grab Finn's dad. No matter how much Finn and his mom scream and plead, the spirits drag him toward the lake. He struggles in vain as they pull him into the water, where he drowns, another act of revenge fulfilled. Finn collapses in tears, crying out, "What do we do now, Mom?" Her mom, her voice steady despite the fear, replies, "We must cleanse these sins. Whether we like it or not, we are tied to this cruel family. We have to fight for justice, not just for those souls, but for ourselves. We must take this case to court and expose the truth." Finn, despondent, shakes his head. "Mom, no matter what we do, no matter how many signatures we gather, we'll never win. The government won't close the dam. This secret will stay buried forever. And who's going to believe us? But his mom remains determined. The rain has been weakening for years. The water level in the dam is falling. One day, this lake will dry up completely. When that happens, the truth hidden beneath it will be revealed to the world. Their bodies, their homes, everything will serve as proof of the great injustice done to them. No one will be able to deny it. When that day comes, they will finally get the justice they deserve. The curse will lift, and their souls will rest in peace forever. As she finishes, a quiet resolve fills the air. Mother and daughter, bound by the same pain, vow to honor the dead by revealing the truth. And with that, this haunting tale comes to an end.